The surgical department of the Edward Francis Small Teaching Hospital on Thursday held a press briefing by way of reaction to the story aired by Eyeafrica TV concerning a botched operation on the late patient Modu Salif Bari, which later led to his death. Eyeafrica TV at the time squarely put the blame on the hospital for negligently releasing the patient even before he was fully recovered, a charge denied by the hospital. On Thursday, the Surgeons Association called a press briefing in a bid to clarify any misconception about what exactly happened. Eyeafrica TV's Mafuji Sise first reported the story in July this year, and he now reports.
It could be recalled that the late Mohamed Salih Bari, a former taxi driver, suffered from a stomach ache before he was subjected to an operation sometime in July 2022. Mr. Bari was discharged from the Edward Francis Small Teaching Hospital in Banjul even before the operated area got healed. But contrary to the treatment of the late Mohamed Salih Bari, that he could answer to the call of nature in the normal way, the surgeon claimed that the opening on his stomach was to enable him do just that. But the unanswered question is, who creates an opening in the stomach of a patient for the passage of urine and feces without attaching a pipe at least? Patients around the world that suffered from complications of this nature are usually given a pipe that will allow for the course of nature to take place. But at the time, the late Mohamed Salih Bari spoke to Eyeafrica TV and told us that he is able to go to toilet by himself, but his problem was that whatever he ate comes out through the hole in his stomach as a result of the operation. Dr. Jabang heads the surgeon department, and he has this to say.
Do we operate even for somebody to be alive? Or do we operate, because there are operations that we call palliative operations, palliative care, which is not an operation to save the life, because we know that the person is going to die. Not that we have any extra, no, but what we are taught and what we learn, we know that this person has this type of disease condition and he is going to die. But you cannot leave him to die like that. If the person has a disease condition and that disease condition has caused him not to be able to go to toilet and his stomach is getting bigger and bigger, you cannot leave that person to die like that. You will divert that so that he is able to go to toilet in some way. But you surely know that his days are numbered. But that is not known to the common man.
Dr. Lamin Jete, consultant general surgeon at Edward Francis Small Teaching Hospital, admitted that the late Mr. Bari was seen at the referral hospital a few months ago with an acute condition in which he was unable to go to the toilet. Dr. Jete went on to say that it was during that surgery that it was discovered the patient had a disease which was at an advanced stage. Dr. Jete will not mention the disease, which he said terminal, and in any case there was almost little or nothing they could have done.
So in this scenario, the hospital resources were used as much as possible in order to be able to alleviate the suffering of this patient. But then on the side of the patient, unfortunately, he was not able to meet some of those other supplementary expenditures that were needed for his care. And as a result, he was stabilized, and eventually plans were being made in order to see him again for the second surgery. But due to financial constraints on the part of the family, they were unable to come back for that second surgery. And his expectation date for that surgery was prolonged, unfortunately, not out of his own fault, not out of the fault of the hospital. Because if somebody does not have the means to be able to do certain things, you cannot necessarily blame them. So within that time frame, that was when I think this report was made. And again, I would stress the fact that when such claims are made, that's from the understanding of the patient.
However, following Eyeafrica's report on these surgical operations and the state of the late Mohamed Salih Bari's condition, we learned that he was rushed back to the hospital where a senior doctor went to see him before his demise. A GoFundMe campaign was launched to secure funds for overseas treatment amounting to almost $4,000, but this was never realized due to circumstances best known to the medical department. But here is what Dr. Jete again.
I understand that video was made in an attempt to mobilize funds. And we do have patients who do come to the hospital, they're seen, they get the care they need. If it's a care that we can provide, we do provide it. If it's a care that we cannot, they do get medical reports, and then they go to the social media and actually request for funds. But in those scenarios and situations, they take the report that's written by us, the medical doctors, and then we give the full picture. Unfortunately, in this scenario, the full picture was not given. It was based on the understanding of the family. And again, I emphasize on the fact that we empathize with the family and understand the sufferings that they've gone through. But I think the media houses could have done better by coming to the hospital.
The late Mamadou Saliu Bari told Pan-African TV that he was sent home before his wounds were cured, but Dr. Jammeh has a different take on this.
So during that time frame, he had his first surgery. He was admitted during all that time, and he was being put on treatment. He improved, his conditions improved. And then there were attempts made from the side of the hospital, wherein the hospital management was engaged to see how best resources can be mobilized in order for him to be able to get the investigations he needed. But unfortunately, none of those were materialized because of the cost issues. But when he was going home, he did have a home. It's called an ileostomy, to be very technical. It's something that was done to save his life, like I mentioned, because this...
Answering why they refused to conduct a press conference when the late Mamadou Bari was alive, why whatever the late Mr. Bari ate gets out, Dr. Jammeh has this to say.
That hole was created for him to be able to ease himself, because if that operation was not done, he may not live for another 24 hours because it's not compatible with life. So it was a surgical procedure that was done to save his life. Now, it was a procedure that was supposed to be temporary, like I mentioned. You asked about, I think some of the second question was?
Why would he be sponsored?
Yes, so I think that answers your second question, because he was not able to ease himself, he's not able to go to the toilet naturally through the natural way because of something that was blocking it. So we had to find something like a diversion, wherein if he eats, it goes through the normal process and the waste product comes out. So it's not what he's eating, it's actually waste products that should naturally go to the toilet that were coming out of that opening or hole, as you mentioned. So it was a life-saving procedure.
The case of the late Mamadou Saliu Bari just illustrates how unethical behavior on the part of our medical professionals can lead to fatalities. Mafuji Cisse, Eyeafrica News.